Ini siapa, Sid?
Orang paling kejam yang pernah aku kenal.
Kamu main-main sama agama, Sid. Gimana kalau ternyata agama itu benar?
Mau mainin agama ya? Mau jadi penista agama? Kalau nggak ngerti agama, nggak usah ngomong agama.
Ini gila, Sid.
Biar orang nggak percaya tahayul, Dil.
Banyak orang yang bakal marah, Sid.
Siksa Kubur.
Grave torture. Well, it's a new year, and while trying to find a movie to watch this week, since January is going to be catch-up month, probably, at least until the end, I came across this movie in my search, and I honestly have no idea how I missed it. For those that know my tastes, you know I've been really enjoying Indonesian horror for a few years now, especially from two directors in particular. The first being Timo Tjahjanto, who did my favorite Indonesian films, May the Devil Take You 1 and 2. Still waiting on the third, hopefully that comes this year or next. And this director, Joko Anwar, who did some of the most fun haunted house and folk type horror using native mythos as a backing. I thought Impedagore was some great folk horror, and Satan's Slaves was surprisingly creepy, although the sequel, Satan's Slaves Communion, which I did review on here, was just okay. Still had some great ideas in it, but ultimately just okay. But I at least remember it really well. This film just happens to be his latest movie that was quietly released on Netflix way back in April. Somehow I missed it all last year, probably because Netflix absolutely sucks at marketing movies, especially foreign films, so what a rip. Either way, I was excited to watch this, even after doing some research and finding that it had a meager budget of only over $300K. But it did somehow make over 10 mil at the box office, so that's quite a turnaround. The reviews seem to be all over the place as well, so I don't know. I figured maybe I'll check it out anyway. Also, the description here is wrong. I don't know why. Did Google use Google Translate to write that? Probably, given the Jakarta Post listed there is a newspaper, so maybe just copy-pasted description. Weird. Anyway, with that being said, what is this movie even about? And how scary could it be? This film, originally titled Siksa Kubur, if I'm pronouncing it right in its native tongue, is about a sister and her older brother. When the two are left orphaned after a bombing, the sister tries desperately to disprove the reasoning the bomber had, in order to find closure with her brother, but more than anything discovers a crisis of faith. Right away, I do love this story, although the movie does kind of lose its way the longer it goes on. There's a time jump halfway through the film with the setup for the conflict following the brother and sister Adil and Sita as they witness a self-bombing that tragically takes their parents' lives, and how they have to fight through tragedy to question the religious idea of grave torture. This is also a major religious theme, so let me break it down real quick so you guys can follow along. Grave torture, or punishment of the grave, is a religious concept found in some Jewish and Islamic beliefs that states that when people die, they are visited by two angels in their graves. If the person is good and just, the angels look divine, and they get a peaceful and blessed rest on their trip to the afterlife. However, if the person is wicked or non-believing or unfaithful, the angels will look demonic and start to physically torture the body and the spirit while in the grave. It's very important that it's both the spirit and the body. It has some very close parallels to the tortures found in hell in Christian methodologies. Just this one also occurs physically. It's a very interesting concept, I have to say, and I like how it's the driving force here. Sita is encouraged to disprove grave torture as best she can, while her brother is struggling to come to terms with his own faith and his own trauma. I think the story is pretty complicated in that regard. Even just explaining it here, I don't feel like I'm doing it justice. But I fear the film loses itself in the latter third. The first 2/3 are phenomenal, following the siblings as kids as they go through the trauma of their parents parents, and then at a deranged boarding school, and then a time jump to adults where they work in a retirement home and trying to combat the religious ideal. Once the ghosts start to become more prominent, the film kind of forgets what it was trying to be. It suddenly kind of goes, oh wait, I'm a horror film. Better throw in some zombie ghosts and gore and demonic entities before the climax. And it's just so transparent and feels completely disconnected from what the movie was trying to say before. It's honestly a real disappointment of a final third. The strongest thing the movie has going for it, though, is the acting. Everyone does fantastic in this, especially Faridina Mufti as older Sita. Also, apologies if I mispronounce anyone's names. She has this calm, determined presence that really starts to break down the longer the film goes on, and it's just really great to see. She's so good. Her brother Adil is played by Reza Rahadian, who does a surprisingly good job showing how someone can grow up with unresolved trauma and how that would affect them. He's quiet, almost mentally anguished at several points, and seems to just be trudging through life, but is still fiercely bound to his sister, but also to his own ideals and his own faith. I really like that. I really think it's so good here and portrayed so well. Their younger selves are also played ridiculously well by Widuri Paturi and Muzaki Ramdan. Muzaki actually was in Satan's Slaves Communion as well, so that's cool. I hope to see them both in a lot more. They just did such a great job. The last person I want to shout out is Slimet Rahardio, whose role I won't spoil, but plays an elderly patient named Wayu Sutama, who is going through several bouts of some form of dementia while under Sita's care. He also gets several monologues too and just delivers them to perfection. He really fits the role here, and I wish I could talk more about him, but that's a major spoiler, so moving on. I think the film works really well cinematically too, with multiple long tracking shots following the characters doing various actions, even if it's just everyday stuff. It will sweep across the room and around the characters, revealing things appearing and disappearing in the background around them, and it's just so good. I love all of that. It's such a good, natural way to build tension, and it really gets you waiting for a jump scare that might not actually come. It's just so much fun to imagine how it must have been shot as well behind the scenes, and how the choreography the actors and the cameraman had to do would have worked. Just lovely. A lot of fun there. I absolutely adore it. However, there are several moments where the film's small budget is rather obvious. For every very good thing, there's always a detractor in this movie, and that bugs me. But anyway, a lot of areas where the small budget's obvious is in the creature and the ghost designs. The makeup, especially for a demonic face that pops up a few times, is laughably bad, with a weird blurry filter put over it, or some very obvious fake long fingernails that they're just not scary. Some ghost injuries also look cheaply applied, like a Halloween costume with like an open sore or something. It's just meh. It's kind of a mess, sadly. Also nitpick here, but it has me a little confused. Whenever the characters are in a specific level of darkness, mostly found in this tunnel they have to walk through at several points in the movie, the film gets this weird staticky look to it in the dark. I think it's because the cameras just aren't up to filming in that level of low light, so it's not a deal breaker, but it is distracting and very strange to see pop up nowadays when most of the rest of the film looks fine. Just a very odd note there. Otherwise, my main issue is just the story choices. Again, the first 2/3 are great. Wonderful. No notes. But the last third just, it takes a hard right turn into, I forgot, I need to be scary territory. Like, they add random death scenes in the movie that just feel very out of place and kind of like obvious padding. A couple of characters die that offer no real addition to the story, so it's just very strange. And in general, I just didn't like how the story panned out. Without spoilers, it's just not a fun or interesting direction to take. It tries desperately to straddle the line between, is it real or is it delusion? What if it is real, but what if it's not? That I think it ultimately fails at. If I were to improve the film, I would probably need to rewrite that entire last third. just completely. Get rid of the filler since the film is already close to 2 hours long, and focus more on Sita and Adil's relationship as that changes. Maybe they'll fall out, or maybe they'll reaffirm each other, or maybe they'll deal with each other's personal traumas. It goes out of its way to show how their traumas are different and how they respond differently to it, so it'd be interesting to see that played off more. It's just not enough. I find their relationship so interesting, and it's just barely explored in the last bit. It's just a shame to me. Overall, though, I think the movie is enjoyable, and like I said, it has a fantastic first half. It only really stumbles late in the game. You'll probably laugh at some of the more ridiculous things that occur later on that are supposed to be scary, but you can see coming a mile away. But I do think the film is an overall good time. Although it is definitely Anwar's weakest film to date, so Hopefully it only gets better from here with maybe some more sequels to Satan's Slaves. Communion did leave it open for sequels, so I guess we'll see. Ultimately, Grave Torture gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. Yep, New Year, catch-up month. That's all January is. There's barely any releases that are of note in January. I know Companion comes out on the 31st, and then we got some horror movies in February. I don't know how they'll play out. I know Heart Eyes is going to be the next slasher. It seems kind of weird to me, but whatever. That's the holiday horror movies. There's always going to be a few of those. I do hope we get more Indonesian horror though this year, not just from these two directors. There's so many good stuff coming out of that one chunk of the country, of the world. So maybe we'll get that. I'm still waiting for May the Devil Take You 3. It's just so good. All of it's so good. Although Netflix really needs to get better at advertising these things. Like I said, I didn't know this came out, and it came out back in April. Holy shit. I should have known months ago. I should have known when it came out. Why was it put off that long? I don't understand. But okay, I know about it now. I saw it. So, oh well, I guess. Whatever. That's a Netflix problem. I guess I just need to be a little bit more diligent about which directors I'm following. But anyway, what did you guys think? Did you see this? Did you watch any other Indonesian horror that I should check out? What else do you have in mind for foreign films that are awesome? Let me know in the comments below. After that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, ring that bell so I don't miss a video. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song I know, and I'm just a ghost in your stereo.